All right, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Doug Sandler from Turnkey Productions, and that guy over there, Mr. John Browning. We're going to build your best life, build your best portfolio, and build your best. Well, we were talking about building airplanes. We probably can't build airplanes
Yeah, I
today.
don't think we got. I certainly cannot build an airplane. I
I
have a
know I do.
client that builds airplanes, actually.
Wow, that has got to be
So
the highest pressure job in the entire world, kind of like air traffic controller, because
yeah,
there's a lot of life that is in your hands if you're riveting airplanes or you're actually a mechanic on airplanes.
yeah. You know what? This is one of the ways that I get my information, though. It's like when Boeing was having all its troubles, right? I asked him about it and what he thought about it, and he gave me some really good insight into the whole thing.
Hmm,
Yeah, so I get like information from my clients because everybody's an expert in their own field.
I know it. I know it. You're an expert in the world of financial advice. I'm an expert in the world of building a Ford Mustang from 1965. I can
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
can help you with that. That's about it. Maybe podcasting in there as well. But I know one thing. This was a topic that came up in conversation this week, unbeknownst that you were going to send me this as a conversation of talking points today. Which is the Roth. So I'm very, very curious about this, just from my own experience, because previously had a simple IRA, a 401k, a whole bunch of things, and there's a whole bunch of rules that are surrounding this Roth. So why don't we start with just, can you define what a Roth is? So if anybody is not familiar, they at least know it, and then we can get into some of the details.
So a Roth is an IRA, which means individual retirement account that allows you to contribute dollars that you've already paid taxes on today
Mm-hmm.
into a retirement account that then grows tax free. So all the growth on that Roth is tax free going forward. And you can pull that money out in retirement tax free.
Okay.
The other cool thing about a Roth is you can use it for certain things. So if you're, say, younger, you can use it for education potentially.
Mm-hmm.
You can also, and this is before you would normally be able to withdraw it penalty free.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you've held those assets for a certain amount of time, then you could use it for a first time home purchase,
Wow.
which is
Okay.
also a great way to potentially save for younger people if they're trying to save for that house. It's a great way to do it. But you just have to remember it has to be what I call seasoned. So if you put that money in, the money that you put in 5 years ago, say that you can take out for the first home purchase. The money that you put in 4 years ago, 4 years, 364 days ago, does not.
So there is a 5-year seasoning for pulling money out. Is that just for home purchase, or is that for any of the reasons that aforementioned reasons like education as well?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that is the case with education as well.
All right, so let me ask some questions because I got a whole bunch that just came to my brain as soon as you were describing what a Roth. Can a parent use the money that's in a Roth account to help pay for their child's education, or does it have to be in the name of the person, the Roth?
So, another great question. And my understanding of that, and I am not a CPA, so qualify that. But my understanding is that you absolutely can use that for your child's education as well.
Okay, so tell me what's the benefit of a Roth as opposed to a regular IRA? And now is a Roth is a type of IRA though, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like in a regular IRA, you're putting in money pre-tax, so you are not paying any taxes you're not paying tax until you start pulling it out. On a Roth, the difference is that you are not paying tax. You're paying taxes on the money as it goes in, but you're not paying taxes on the interest that you are accumulating until. Do you ever pay interest on the I'm sorry, do you ever pay taxes on the interest that you're gaining through its accumulation phase?
You never pay taxes on that. Now, this is one of the places though where people I think get tripped up. And it's the importance of realizing that what you have like in your regular 401k, they also have Roth 401ks now, which they didn't have a few years back, which is a nice feature. But you'll never have a 100% Roth 401k because any contributions from your employer
Hmm.
cannot go into the Roth. So you always have a portion of that 401k. And most people, say my age, are going to have a completely taxable 401k in that it has grown tax free. You haven't paid any taxes on any of the interest or growth or anything. But then when you draw it out, you're paying taxes. So people think, oh, I've got $1 million plus in my 401k. You have $1 million plus less what you're going to pay Uncle Sam.
Got it. Okay. So advantages, you don't pay taxes on the interest that you're accumulating in the Roth, but you're putting in post-tax dollars into that account. So
That's
how do
right.
you decide, do I do a Roth? Do I do a traditional IRA? That was like a question that keeps coming to mind for me. Or can you do both, or you can only do one or the other?
You can do both, but there's a limit to how
Oh,
much you can contribute, right?
so many
So
rules.
so many rules, so many rules. And this is where people get tripped up. And they also get tripped up because a lot of even advisors out there will say, well, you need to do this because all of your growth is in growing tax free. Mathematically, it actually makes exactly zero difference whether you convert today or whether you convert right before you're going to start withdrawing in retirement.
Oh, you can convert a traditional IRA to a Roth?
Exactly. And this is now, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But you could contribute to, say you're precluded, because there's some other rules. Say you're precluded from and you cannot contribute to a Roth because maybe you're above the income threshold, like 100.
Oh,
Say you're making 190, $200,000 a year. That's too much to make. They won't allow you to contribute to the Roth.
so
Go
Roth is for
figure,
poor, or
IRS.
Roth is for poor people like me then. That's what
Yeah,
you're
right.
saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. For those in our community that are approaching that number, you're not making that number, not poor, not at all. Just a bad
Yes.
joke, bad joke.
So say you are making too much money, right? Too much money. We'll put
Hmm.
that in air quotes.
Right.
In order to contribute to your Roth, you could contribute to a regular IRA, and the very next day you could do a Roth conversion. They call it a backdoor Roth conversion and convert it to a Roth as long as you paid the taxes on that amount of money. So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay.
But there's a lot of things in our government and tax code that don't make a lot of sense. And this works in your favor potentially. So
Now, are there higher threshold or deposit amounts on a Roth as opposed to a traditional IRA? Like I'm trying to figure out why would anybody care which way that they are going if they pretty much don't make any difference which way you go, or maybe it does, and I'm just not interpreting what you're saying properly.
yeah, so this is really important. So what we'll do is we'll do a tax analysis for you. So we'll take what you're making in income right now and figure out roughly, approximately what your tax rate is going to be. And that includes things like once you get to a certain income level, you have to pay more in Medicare taxes and all that. It includes all of that.
Are you talking about in retirement, or are you talking about
Talking about right now.
right now?
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
So the timing of the taxes is the most important thing, right? So if you're making X number of dollars and you're in, say, we're going to call it the 20% tax bracket. So you're making a decent amount of money and your adjusted gross income, not your
Hmm.
full income, your adjusted gross income has you in that 20% tax bracket, but you've got a little bit of a ways to go before maybe you bump up into that next tax bracket. Now, the way our tax brackets work, and a lot of people don't understand this either, is that up until a certain point, every single dollar is taxed at X tax rate. When you jump into the next tax bracket, it's your next dollar
Got it.
that is taxed at the
Not
higher
back to
amount,
zero.
not back to zero, everything taxed there. So it's the one thing that actually makes a little bit of sense about the tax code, right? So what we'll do is we'll say, well, you have, say, X number of dollars that you could convert to a Roth and still stay in your tax bracket without getting
Mm.
taxed an extra amount. So you don't necessarily convert your entire amount that you could to a Roth. You contribute maybe how much, and this is maybe, it depends on your situation. Maybe you just convert that amount that gets you right before you would go into that next tax bracket. That's why if you give me 5 years or so before you retire, and we've got a little time, we can do this a little bit at a stair step at a time. And the timing of it matters. So it doesn't matter until you start taking it out. So when you start taking it out and taking withdrawals, the fact that it's not being taxed, that begins to make a difference. Within 3 years of doing that, if you've got everything converted into a Roth, you are way ahead of the game, and you just get further and further ahead of the game as you go throughout retirement.
Same vehicles. Can you use the same vehicles within a Roth IRA as you can in a traditional IRA? You can use money markets and and stocks and bonds and whatever. It's not dependent upon the Roth versus traditional, what products that you're actually buying.
That's exactly right. Yep. One other thing too about that timing is you can also, it doesn't matter when you convert to Roth. So you can be in retirement and you can be taking withdrawals. And if the math works out right, you have to use math on this. Sorry, guys, you got to use math. But if you use the math and you find out, hey, when I'm in retirement, I can work things. Maybe I take a little bit more in the 1 year, and maybe in December of 1 year, so that I can make that last going through next year and I can drop my tax bracket down. Then I roll it into a Roth, do a backdoor Roth conversion. There's all sorts of ways that you can play with this, right? And make it work for you, but it does take some thought and it does take some math. And
There's that
don't
word,
miss out on that.
that dreaded word again. There's that math. Tell our listening community, is it important whether you are employed, self-employed, type of corporation? Does any of that matter in the establishment of a Roth?
So the only thing that matters is you do have to have W-2 income. So if you're self-employed, and I tell all my self-employed folks this, it's important that you W-2 yourself.
Yes.
You don't have to W-2 yourself all the way and pay yourself a huge W-2 salary and pay all those taxes, but it's important that you pay yourself something, enough so that, number one, you're contributing to Social Security, because that is, I know there's a lot of debate on this and everything else, but it is that great and wonderful annuity that I highly, highly doubt is going to go away or really be majorly damaged in any way by the politicians, because they would all be voted out of office very quickly. Um, so
Yes,
you want to be contributing to it.
reasonable and acceptable amount of money to be W-2'd. I think that makes sense. So it sounds like you need to be a W-2'd employee, or you would be subject to a SEP, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could do the SEP, which you can also do a backdoor Roth conversion
My
on. But
gosh.
yeah, yeah,
Who creates all of these rules? There's so
the
many rules
IRS.
and how do you ever keep up with let me tell you the benefit of working with John. Okay. Benefit of working with John is that once you do that, you don't have to know any of the rules. You just go to John and say, John, what are the rules? And if John doesn't know the rules, for example, a little bit earlier, I asked him a question about qualifying and all that stuff. He said, I need to research that. He's got a team of people, and that's who he works with. And that's the benefit of working with John, because if with the stuff he doesn't know, he partners with somebody that does know that stuff. So share
Yeah.
a little bit about how that works, because I know we haven't talked about that in many, many episodes, John. You are a master of specific things, but you don't know everything. So what happens when that happens?
Yes, you can just ask my wife. I do not know everything for sure, and my kids and a lot of other people that know me. But here's the thing: if they actually laugh at me at family gatherings, because as soon as somebody starts talking about something that they need done or want or whatever, said, "Oh, I know a guy or I know a gal," because I spend a lot of my time meeting people. This morning I met with, there was probably 35 people in the room, all from different areas of expertise. And I mean, and I do this all the time. And I get on Zoom calls with people, and I one-on-ones. They're not necessarily clients, but they're experts in their own field. So the idea is that no matter what you need or where you need it, I have the connection from my past life or current life somewhere that I can probably put you in touch with an expert in that field.
All right.
And I don't try and be your tax advisor. I'm not that. I don't try and know every part of the insurance world. I've got a lot of great people that help me with that. I don't try and be your mortgage broker, but we have 3 clients right now that are working with mortgages, and I've got very specific mortgages that are not your typical standard mortgage, by the way. A very unique and wealth building way to utilize something that actually builds wealth instead of doesn't build wealth with a mortgage. Things like that. I've got people all over the place that can. I build
And
a personal board of directors around you and your needs.
and
That's
I
what we want to do.
I know for sure that he does know a lot about how to raise 6 kids in Florida. So I can tell you that. I can
Yes.
tell you that he does know that, and he is a kind man, and he is one that you definitely want to talk to. I know we've covered a lot of stuff in a very short period of time about Roth, but it just is enough to whet your appetite and find out more information. John, what's the best way for them to in our listening audience to reach out to you to get more info?
So the easiest way for me would be just to go out to guardianrockwealth.com and hit the contact us button. And there's a lot of free information out there you can read if you want to do that. But hit that contact us button, send us a note, we will get right back to you. Or you text the word life. So grab your cell phone, type in 321-421-5213, and type in life, send that, and you'll get all of our information on a kind of digital business card, a little video and everything there. And you can schedule some time directly on my calendar that way.
All right. So do that. Get in touch with John and find out more information about Roth or how to raise 6 kids. Either one of those will work out for us. Thanks, John.
My kids might beg to differ on whether I was any good at that or not.
They're all here. All right.
They're all still
they all
alive.
are
Yes.
still alive. So, John, thanks for sharing.
Yep.